And I think that was the point. When I was like, I truly love this woman because not only do I want to understand who she is to her core, but I want to share with her who I am at my core.
What's up, real ones? Welcome back to the Relationship Podcast, where we're bringing the real back to relationships.
Yes, sir.
I'm Asha Steele.
And I'm Devin Steele.
And we're so excited that you guys are tuning in today with us.
Although we tired, we excited to be back.
Yes.
Last week we took the week off. This week, we recorded Wednesday, but it's probably gonna end up coming out late Wednesday or early Thursday morning because we got a lot of stuff going on around our house now. If y'all follow us on Instagram, Asha had this bright idea for us to now rip out all the flooring of our downstairs in our house, put in some engineered hardwood, and then
we had the idea. Don't try to just
from the moment we got this house, Asha was like, "Yeah, we're doing hardwood, but we're gonna wait until Arya is able to walk before we get it." And now that time has came, she gave me some time, to save up my bag and stuff so I can afford these expensive behind hardwoods that she wanted. And then she came up with the idea to do a DIY project.
Let them know. Blaming me for your ideas.
Please inform us. How am I blaming you?
So he came up with this bright idea. We talked a little bit before in previous episodes. He's the DIY king of the household, okay? Since we moved and since the pandemic, he has been doing a lot of tasks around the house that he has not done before, okay? Mm-hmm. He has graduated from YouTube University and he has a master's in several different things around this home, okay? So you decided... Okay, y'all, he decided when we were literally like a day or two before they were coming to install the floors that he was going to pull up all the carpet on our steps and then do the stairs himself. However, we talked about it. He said, you know what, we can do it together. But yes, if you were following him on social media, he kind of threw me under the bus to make it seem like I was doing it alone. But I'm not.
Since this podcast is all about keeping it real.
Keep it real.
Only on this podcast will I tell the truth that it was my idea, right? I'm not going to tell people on Instagram. But I made it seem like it was Asha's idea in case it come out real messed up. I can just blame it on her because sometimes I be getting motivated. Like if I go on YouTube, I be getting motivated. I be watching the video like, I can do that. That looks simple. And
5 minutes.
When I had
5 minutes of a video makes everything look simple.
Listen, and I don't advise y'all to do what I'm about to share with y'all. But like when I'm in that heightened mood of where I just feel motivated, like I can accomplish something, I make sure I do something to make sure I have to follow through with it. So like when I was sitting in the office and I was watching the YouTube videos and I got that boost of motivation, I went right out the office and I just broke down one of the balusters to the steps because I was like, tripping. If I go break this, I gotta fix it. Yeah. So when I came out into the living room, Asha was looking at me like I was crazy because I was cutting the balusters off the steps. But go ahead and give them an update of what I've been doing so far. Because you initially thought, what is he doing? But now what you think? Yeah,
I was taken back by what you were doing. I didn't understand it. But however, an update of where we've been at, he got the first or the top flight of steps done, and it looks really, really good. I'm not even going to hype him up. Like,
that's what I do.
It looks really good. Okay, it looks great. Y'all. So I have some trust in him. YouTube didn't steer him completely wrong. Okay,
look, I just got these. The bottom parts of our steps is the real challenge. Like, yes, it's easy because the top part of our steps is just like the normal steps. They're like just straight across. Yes. But the bottom part of our steps is like this crazy octagon type of shape. I don't really know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to glue wood and stuff together. I've never done any of this before. But listen, if it goes wrong,
so y'all,
if it goes wrong, we'll just hire somebody.
Right. And make sure y'all come to my defense because I know some of y'all watching do follow us on social media. And he's going to say, if the bottom steps look horrible, Asha did those ones and I did the top ones. Hey, so just make sure y'all comment and let them know the truth. Okay? Because we know how you get down. But going into some more announcements before we get into everything, you guys. The end of February, our 28-day
It's crazy.
challenge, Real Love Challenge, is almost up.
Yeah.
And hopefully you guys are enjoying it. And hopefully you guys have been, making some connections, doing a little bit more than that, and having a good time, because that's what it's all about.
What was your favorite out of all the activities that we've done so far? What would you say your favorite? Matter of fact, I'm going to go first because I don't want you stealing mine. All right.
Okay.
So my favorite activity that we did, besides, what I like doing, was the playlist. Mm-hmm. I think putting together the playlist in which it was like a 3-song playlist where you pick songs that convey the emotions that you feel towards your partner. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed it. And the way that we did it was, like I said, we picked the 3 different songs. But before we played the song, like we both did, it was like a little battle. Like I played one song, you play another song. But before we played it, we explained why we chose the song. Mm-hmm. And then after the song was done, we just sat in it, for a little bit and just really allowed ourselves to experience each song. And I know when I was listening to the songs that you played for me, after you explaining why you chose that song, is like I heard the song differently than I've ever heard it before. Mm-hmm. Like I've heard those songs before, but now I heard it somewhat from your perspective. Mm-hmm. And it was just a cool experience to share with you.
Yeah, I think that was probably up there with mine as well. I feel like all of them, of course, because we created the calendar, mean a lot to us. And it's like I enjoy every single day because we put all the thought into making them. But I think just those moment of connections, like us having our moment where we dance together just randomly. To
Bro, you was acting crazy. We should have showed them the way you was dancing. It wasn't no typical dance.
But no,
it looked like how Arya looked in the video I just posted. Crazy.
No, but I think just having those little moment of connections, of course, the intimate parts are what make the calendar for most. Yeah. But just having those intimate moments where it doesn't have to be, sexual or anything. You can actually have that physical connection with your partner and it not be sexual is really it's enlightening. It's refreshing. So I really enjoy those.
Yeah. And we shared the songs that we had shared with each other on social media, and everybody loved our playlist. Mm-hmm. So what we decided to do was just to create a whole Real Love playlist with some of our favorite songs that can, set the mood, set the vibe for your relationship, help you and your partner connect. So if y'all haven't checked that out yet, you can go to our Instagram, Relationships Podcast, and click the link in our bio, and it'll take you to our Spotify playlist, which is called Real Love.
Yes. So moving right along to our keeping it real moments.
Yeah.
You have a keeping it real.
I do, and I hope I'm not spoiling this for a lot of people, but we gave y'all time, and it's time for me to keep it real.
Keep it real.
I wasn't really feeling that J-Lo Marry Me movie.
Oh my goodness.
And we went to go see it for Valentine's Day. Like, because one of the things that me and Asha used to love to do before the pandemic is just go to the movies. Like, we got something in Houston called the iPick where, you order food and stuff and watch the movies. And that's something that we love doing since we met on, a decade ago. Mm-hmm. It's crazy it's been that long, but that's something that we've always loved to do together. So we decided to go catch a movie, and we decided to watch Marry Me. And I'm seeing it all on social media. They putting mad money into ads. We were thinking about promoting the movie as well, but I'm glad we didn't because I didn't like it. It was an entertaining movie, but it was like one of those fairy tale love story things, right? Mm-hmm. That's one of the things I didn't like about it. You just see a random guy say, hey, why not take a chance? Marry me. And then all of a sudden you have this blissful marriage. Yeah. It's not the way this works. Second of all, I feel like they're pushing certain ideologies in movies, right? And it was just like, for me, and I don't know how y'all feel about this, but for me, it's just like the podcast we talked about are men and women at war? Are we fighting for certain spots? Because even in one of the scenes in the movie, it was like, ladies, you go pick the man, make him work to earn your last name. We're not taking their last names no more. And it's just like, what are we doing right now? Mm-hmm. Now we're like, yeah, this is a movie, but a lot of people get a lot of their ideas from movies. Unfortunately, a lot of people get their values from movies and entertainment. So it's like now you're pushing this mainstream, which I think is going to cause even more issues, because remember when we made that post on our page about taking a last name, that thing got lit up in the comment section. So I wasn't really feeling it.
I mean, the movie was definitely a typical bubbly, type of movie. It was what it was. It was expected for what I was thinking I was going to see. But like you were saying, I feel like it's not even just like with movies, it's just everything, whether it be TV shows, commercials, social media, like everyone is now pushing their narrative of what their beliefs are, whether it be different from traditional beliefs or other things. Like it is what it is, right? We talk about it all the time. And I think that's where we and other platforms like we have is, if you have your certain beliefs that you believe in, your certain traditions that you still follow, that's why we still have our platform. That's why you still have your platform for you to say, well, this is what I believe in, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a back and forth. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm going to counter you, or I'm going to say this is what I believe in. This is what I stand firm in. And this is what I'm going to share with my following, right? And if you're going to follow with what I'm saying and you agree with what I'm saying, great. If you don't, great. You have your platform to share that over there. But I think it's so hard nowadays because it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like everyone's in this fight against everyone for what they believe in, what they stand for. And it's just like, we can't fight the world. We can only stand for what we believe in, what we know is true. And like we said, keep it real to what our values are. Share it with y'all. If y'all follow us and y'all believe in our values as well, it's similar to y'all values, then great. If not, we're going to have a conversation like we mostly have on our platform, and we're going to share our beliefs and you can share yours, and we can agree to disagree or whatever the case may be. But I think that's why it's important to make sure that you have your platform so that you can still share your voice and your thoughts. And I feel like you have to just be overshadowed by what mainstream media is pushing out.
So did you like the movie? Did you find anything wrong with the message?
I mean, I personally didn't believe in the message. I felt like the movie was very typical of what a J-Lo movie has been. Like it was very, like you said, fairy tale, happy ending type of movie.
I don't know that enough movie. That wasn't no fairy tale happy ending. Like she was out there looking like Mike Tyson.
Not that one. That was a little different, but it was like a typical love romance type of, bubbly movie. I wasn't expecting anything grand from the movie. But I mean, hey, if y'all haven't seen it, go check it out. Y'all can say if y'all like it or not.
Nah, don't go check that out, man. It's crazy. I wasn't feeling it. Y'all weren't feeling it either because y'all real ones just like us. I know you wouldn't be feeling that either. Do we got a message from a real one this week?
Yes. So
hold on. Whoa.
Message?
Exactly. Do not jump into this message yet. You know the cue.
I can't.
All right, there we go. Yo. Go ahead and get up in there.
So the message says,
to get up in there.
You know what? The message says, hi, so my girl and I have been dating for a year and 2 months. A few Saturdays ago, she told me she wanted to have a mental break to figure herself out. And that doesn't mean that she wants to break up or anything. So I'm a little confused. This is what they're saying, right? Mm-hmm. They said, I've been giving her space and I haven't seen her for the past 2 weeks. We only text right now, but I don't know what is going on. I feel like she wants to break up or maybe get back with her ex because they're still good friends. What should I do? So first things first, we talked about this before a little bit. I think being able to have a break in your relationship is not necessarily a bad thing, right? And if they're stating that they're needing a break, a mental break, it may be a lot that she's going through, right? That she's not communicating to you. So I think the first thing that needs to be done, that should be done at least, is just to have that open lines of communication to explain why she needs that break, right? Because if that is her, her boyfriend for a year, 2 months, right? They've been together. You will hope that y'all have a close enough relationship where she can kind of be able to go to you and confide in you and what's going on with her. So being able to say, you know what, it's a lot that I'm going through right now. This is what I'm going through, to whatever degree she wants to explain it. I need some space to just, clear my mind, process things so that I can be a better version of myself to help me get through what I'm getting through, right? But I feel like when you don't have that open communication with your partner, it leads them to believe that everything else is triggering this. Maybe they're triggering it. Maybe, like he said, an ex is triggering this, right? You don't know. So when you're not clearly communicating on what's going on, what you need from your partner, it leaves the door open for a lot of things to just transpire. So I think the first thing that she should definitely do, and he should definitely do, is just have that open line of communication. Talk about what is going on, what's causing her to have that mental breakdown, how he can be of help. If it is, him just giving her that space, then him respecting that and having a clear understanding.
Yeah, I agree a lot with what you said. But I think for me, I feel like a year and 2 months, I don't feel like that's really a long time, right? So it's like only within a year, y'all need a break already. Like, what is the mental break from? Is it from the relationship? Is it from outside stresses of life? Mm-hmm. If it's from outside stresses of life, how come y'all haven't built up the type of closeness in your relationship where you're turning to each other to help you get through those stressful times instead of turning away? If it's issues in the relationship, what are those issues? Are they clearly defined? Like Asha said, are they clearly being communicated? Because you believe that this may have something to do with the ex. Mm-hmm. You're uncomfortable with them still being friends. And I'll be honest with you, I would be uncomfortable with it as well. So there's like a lot of underlying issues going on. And I'm pretty sure that for the year and 2 months, you've been said that you've had a problem with this. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you as a man, you ain't going to get comfortable with this. It's like she's not willing to let go of that relationship in order to focus on your relationship. Is this a time where you just say, you know what, I spent a year and 2 months with you. Do I want to continue to do this and still have the same issues that are probably never going to change? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot that needs to go into this that we can't necessarily touch on because we don't know the full story. But I feel like taking a break and you're only a year in, that's like, yo, I don't know about that. Like, you ain't really do nothing yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But like you said, it's hard to really say because we don't know what they have been through. Because you can been with somebody for 2 months and been going through a lot personally or together. You have no idea. So I think it's just like you said, we don't have enough information to really give you sound advice on what exactly needs to be done because we don't know the backstory of everything. But I just think being intentional with your partner, it all starts with openly communicating with your partner. That's what needs to be done. Because like you said, you can sit up here and think, oh, 1,000,001 things is triggering her to have this mental breakdown. And you could feel like most of that is because of you and you don't know. So if you don't know the answer to something, then ask the question, have that conversation. If she isn't forthcoming with that information, then you have to respect her space. And if that means for you to remove yourself from that situation so that you're not now putting yourself in a negative space that's causing you to not be the best version of yourself, then do that. You have to really take that time and that break to not only focus on what she's focusing on, but focus on what you need to focus on, what's going to be a betterment to you, and make sure that you're in the right position that you need to be in for yourself as well. So,
and I definitely wouldn't put my life on pause.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put my life on pause because clearly there hasn't been clear communication. And you probably sitting around waiting for her to come back around to let you know if she wants to make this thing work. Mm-hmm. Don't put your life on pause. Continue to grow because it's crazy. It's been 2 weeks. y'all haven't even talked on the phone.
Yeah.
Y'all have only text. Like, there's a lot of red flags in this whole situation. So it's just like, don't sit around and wait. Like, continue to grow. Continue to grow on your path that you're trying to go in life. And if it ends up working out, then it ends up working out. But I wouldn't put my life on pause. And even just discussing this, it brings up a point that I wanted to discuss on this podcast, just about somebody asking the question on social media, like, how do you know when you love somebody? And I saw, a lot of people giving their perspective on how you know. So I shared mine as well. And I talked about how I believe that you love somebody when you have that desire to understand and respect that person's inner world, so that you don't feel like you're forced to change who you are or change your behaviors, but you're willing to do those things because y'all both want to create a space where you can both coexist. Right. And when I look at this situation, I don't feel like they're there yet. Like, they may have had, that passion for each other, but I'm not sure it's at that point where they love each other yet, because, as he said, he has a problem with her being friends with her ex, right? That's causing issues. And he may have put pressure on her to let go of that relationship. She's like, nah, I'm not doing it. But it's like, if you love somebody, you'll be willing to do the things that are necessary in order for y'all to be able to make the relationship work.
Yeah.
And I say this because we talk about it all the time, about how we started off rough in our relationship. It was like, I was coming in with certain type of ideas of what was acceptable for me to do, and you was coming in with ideas about what was acceptable for me to do, and we butt heads a lot. But when I started to feel like I was falling for you, like I loved you, is when you didn't even have to like try to pressure me to do those things. I changed my behaviors because I wanted to make this thing work. And when you get to a point where you are changing your own behaviors because you don't want to hurt your partner, instead you want to love them, you want them to feel respected and honored, that's when I think that you really get to that place of true love. But I feel like a lot of times we're mixing up love with pleasure and passion, and it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I think for us especially, time and experience really helped to open our eyes to what that true love was, just to be able to not just change for that person, but to change for yourself, knowing that it was going to be a betterment for that person. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people go into relationships wanting that person to change, or on the idea of what that person could be, right? And so when you're going into a situation where you're wanting to automatically change a person, or you're thinking that they should change something about themselves, it's never good, because you can't change anyone. They can only change themselves. So I think it was so powerful what you making that statement, is because when you really love someone, you'll notice that. You'll notice like, oh, I'm doing things a little bit different than I would necessarily do, because I want this to work. I want this relationship to go for the long haul, right? I want to be the best version of myself, so that we're the best version of each other, that we're a team that's just unstoppable. Right. And the only way that I can do that is if I do change certain things, but I want to do it for me, for you. For us. I think that's powerful. Yeah, I think that's so powerful, because you'll notice when that change is happening. It would hit you like, dang. Like, I was so stuck. Not me. I'm just saying. But like, you'll be like so stuck in your ways of doing something. It's just like, oh no, I'm not changing this. Yeah. And then you'll just notice like, am I doing this? I'm doing this. I just told myself last year, I ain't changing this. Yeah. So
it's crazy. And I think one of the true indicators of that transition happening, or that change happening, is when you don't feel like you're sacrificing a lot. I think sometimes, like I feel like people try to stay away from making sacrifices. Like, nobody likes to lose stuff. Like, we like to gain things. It's human nature to like to gain stuff and not to let go of things. But when you get to a place where it doesn't even feel like it's you're sacrificing certain things or certain behaviors or things that you used to do when you were alone, because now you recognize that, yeah, I may be losing this, but look how much I'm gaining. Mm-hmm. Like I let go of a lifestyle that I was accustomed to before me and you got together, but I didn't feel like I was sacrificing it because I felt like I was gaining so much more by letting that go.
Right.
And when you get to that point of when you're dealing with somebody, man, it's a beautiful thing, but it takes a lot of work and intentional action in order to get to that place in a relationship. And we hope that during this podcast, or however long we have this podcast going, hopefully it's for years, decades, but we help you gain that in your relationship, where it's like you are truly attuned with your partner. Like you desire to understand and respect who your partner is, what makes them happy, right? So that you can make the necessary changes so that you can coexist within each other's world. Because like you was talking about the other day, because Asha has to travel back home for some family situations. And I was like, man, like you about to like leave. This is the first time you leaving us not being together, like traveling by yourself in 2 years. And she was like, nah, I ain't really feeling that because you shouldn't have to go through life alone. But it's crazy. It's like when you really are in a relationship that you love being in and you really want to be around somebody, it's weird experiencing, life without them.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always like that. It was times where you was just like, yo,
bye.
Get away from me.
Bye. There's the door. You need help?
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
It took time. And I love, like I was telling Asha the other day, like I love the place that we're in, right? And I can come on here and I can say that and truly mean it. Like it's not just for show. It's not to make y'all believe in our marriage or believe in this podcast, because there was a time where we wouldn't say that. Like, oh, I love where we're at in our marriage right now. But it's like, no, I love where we're at. Like I'm very confident that we have what it takes in order to go the distance and make this thing a lifetime. But it took work.
Yes.
Right? It took understanding. It took communication. It took vulnerability. And that's what this podcast episode is really about today. Being vulnerable, sharing your emotions, sharing the things that are not that are hurtful to you, sharing the things that you want to work on in your relationship in order to improve it.
Yeah. And
it's crazy because our last episode we talked about how having a child can cause marital dissatisfaction, right? And I remember when I was talking about, you shared your experience of how it was when me and you first got together, and I was putting a lot of my attention and focus on Leah, and you felt left out, right? And you told me about it. And when we had Arya, I started to feel what you experienced. And when I shared that on the podcast, notice I said I didn't want to seem soft and not come to you and tell you about how I was feeling, because I understood that a lot of men will consider that as being soft,
right? Sharing
that type of vulnerability or sharing that type of emotion. So when we posted it to our page, I had somebody write something like, don't tell me now that men are out here competing with their newborns. This is why women don't respect y'all now. And mind you, when I first read that, my first initial thought was to go in on my man, right? Because like I'm changed.
Wanted to choose violence.
I'm working on myself daily, but I'm not there yet. God still got his hand on me, trying to work on me, but I'm just like, it took me to a place, but instead I'm just like, why are men like this? Like, why do you think that is competing with a newborn by speaking up and sharing your truth?
Yeah.
Because it's not just me that experienced that, but it's plenty of men based on research, right? So it's not me competing, it's me saying, hey, I want to spend more time with you. I want to be emotionally connected with you. I want to work on this so that we can have that same strong bond that created our child. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we live in a world now where men try to act too tough, and they don't allow themselves to be vulnerable. They don't speak up about the things that they're dealing with internally. Mm-hmm. And I think that can be caused by three reasons. Number one, that society still has a hold on them, right? They're taught that they have to be the rock. They're taught they have to be the strong. They're taught that they don't need to share their emotions. Mm-hmm. So they're stuck there mentally still. Number two, the ego, the pride. They want to be too cool. They want to act like nothing is bothering them. Mm-hmm. When it really is. And that can be extremely detrimental to a relationship, right? Because I get when we go out into the world and we put on that tough guy look to be that protector, but your woman don't need you to be the same person in y'all home that you are in the street. She needs you to bring that softer side. Like my family, they see a side of me that nobody else is privy to. They get that vulnerable side from me. I'm not going to always come in here like I'm the toughest guy, but I'm explaining to my family what I'm going through so that they can in return share the things that they're going through. But we got to stop acting like we so tough, because it's what's crazy about it, Asha, is this. I didn't see guys act so tough in public around a girl. They don't really want to share the things that they're going through. And then when their relationship don't work out, they become softer than drugstore cotton. Right? The emotions just start flowing. They crying, wishing that they could have done more, trying to fight to get their family back. But it's like, yo, if you would have been as vulnerable as you're doing right now, you probably could have fixed that. Mm-hmm. Why are we crying about it now when you wouldn't open up to your lady before? Mm-hmm. So I feel like we got to break down those barriers, because as we talked about before, when you are not being vulnerable and sharing some of the things that you're going through, that's when the walls start to lower in your relationship and outsiders can creep in and mess up your family.
Yeah. I think like history and, like you said, society has kind of built up that macho manly idea where it's like, I have to be this person, right? I have to have this ego. I have to put on this, facade, like I'm just tough and nothing is fazing me, nothing is bothering me. I can take on the world and I'm good, right? And I think that has to be stripped away. Right. We even discussed it before, like how you see it from when you're a young boy, how if you're too emotional or if you're upset or if you're crying about something, it's like you're reprimanded and it's like, oh, man up, right? Yeah. We see that. So it makes you feel like growing up from a young boy to a man that you can't be vulnerable, that you can't be emotional, that if you are, that's considered weak, that you need to fix it. Don't let me see you cry. Don't let nobody else see you cry. Don't let no one see that weakness. And so I think when you instill that into a child, regardless of if it's a boy, that's going to grow with them. Right. He's going to feel like he has to suppress those emotions because that's what was instilled in him as a child. Mm-hmm. You not born into this world as a man. So that's years of you just having to suppress those emotions. So I think, in a sense, if you don't counter that and, rewire and unlearn certain things, it's like it seems inevitable. Like, this is what it is. This is all I've been taught. This is all I know. So you have to, like I said, relearn. No, that's not okay. Yeah. It is okay for me to show those emotions. And 9 times out of 10, those individuals, those men, like whoever had wrote that comment, is wanting to be vulnerable, is wanting to express his emotions and have someone that he can express those emotions to, but he doesn't have that.
Yeah.
So when you don't have that, you want to attack someone else who's able to speak freely about how they feel, who is confident within their self to say, this is what's bothering me.
Super confident.
Right?
Super confident.
When you see someone doing something that you want to do and you can't do it, you're going to make that person feel bad for doing something that you want to do. That's what people do. So if I see someone sitting up here just, all just outspoken and bubbly and just, interacting with all of these people and people are gravitating to them and I'm more, closed off and quiet and to myself, but I really want to be that person. Yeah. I really want to speak up. I really want to, be the light of the party. But I see them doing that. So then I attack them and their character to try to make them feel less than what they are. To make myself feel like, oh, okay, I'm macho. I'm big. So I think you have to be able to say, you know what? No, one, that's not cool in a sense, because being able to speak your truth is necessary. If that's something that's affecting you, you should be able to speak your truth. So many people are suffering from mental health. Like we just said from the message, a mental breakdown. Everyone's dealing with some sort, mostly everyone are dealing with some sort of just mental health issues, especially nowadays with the climate of the world, the pandemic, everything affecting you. It's a lot going on. So when you're able to say, you know what, I have a safe space within my home. I have a safe space within my friends, my family, my community, where I am able to be vulnerable, where I'm able to share my truth, where I'm able to express how I truly feel and not feel like I'm going to be judged, not have to worry about being criticized. It's not going to affect me because I know who I am. Right. And I know I have people there to support me. That's an amazing thing. And there's so many people lacking that. So that's why I feel like you see people out there that comment and that do feel, in a sense, intimidated by those who are able to express themselves in that light because they don't have that.
Yeah. And I think you brought up a lot of good points, and it reminded me that I said I had 3 things of why men do that. But now I have 4 because of what you said. So I already said 2. So my next one is sometimes men just don't know how to communicate how they feel.
Yeah.
They don't know how to put words to their emotions, right? Because when they did it when there was a child, they got shut down. So their growth in expressing their emotions stopped when there was a boy. And that boy is still within them, although they may be a grown man. That same boy that doesn't know how to express his emotions is still stuck within him.
Right.
So that little boy needs that nurturing, right? In order to grow up and say, you know what? This is okay. Like, this feels good. This is necessary. I don't have to fight this myself.
Right.
Because just because you suppress your emotions doesn't mean they don't exist. And because you're not recognizing that other men are out here doing it and you are having these emotions, you think, well, maybe I'm not man enough. Because no other man is out here talking about this. Why am I feeling these things but other men aren't? Nah, we are. And I'm like super confident in my manhood. Like super confident. Like, I get it. I put a lot of positivity out there into the world on this podcast and on my page, but don't get it confused for 1 second. Like, don't get it confused. Don't confuse vulnerability for softness or weakness. That's not what it is over here. But I want to use this platform to redefine what manhood is and show other men like, yo, we don't have to be what society taught us we had to be. We don't have to sleep with a bunch of women to feel like we're a man. We don't have to suppress the things that we are going through because it makes us look weak. It's like, nah, you got to learn to change all that because what we have been doing hasn't been working. The proof is in the history.
Yeah.
So how long are we going to continue to do the things that society tells us we should do when we keep getting results that are hindering our progress, our growth? It makes no sense. And if I got to be the man to step up and do it, that's what I'm going to do. But same time, I'm not tolerating disrespect from people. Like that's not going to happen. Like, we're going to keep things positive and copacetic. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you can express how you feel, but just express it in a positive way. Like, try to be like me, very positive and zen. That's all we got to do.
Yeah.
And the last part that I think, the last reason why I think that men don't speak up about their emotions is I feel like it may not be a safe space for them to do it. Mm-hmm. Like you talked about. And I think, number one, it took me time to grow that inner child up in me to say, look, it's okay to express my emotion, because I got a strong dad. I got a strong mind. Like, we've been through a lot of stuff growing up, and my parents never really allowed us to feel it. You know what I mean? If they was going through something, they wouldn't really show it. They wouldn't talk about it. Mm-hmm. So naturally, I took that on, where it's like, I'm going through things. I don't want people to know about it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to get it done and handle the situation. And that's not good when you're getting into a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to go through the things by yourself. Like, that's what your partner's for. You're supposed to open it up and allow them to carry some of the burden with you, but it has to be a safe space. And I can tell you this, what has made me be more open with you and vulnerable with you is that you never weaponize my vulnerability. You know what I mean? Like, if I open up to you about certain things, if there's certain times where I break down and cry to you, if we have a disagreement in the future, you don't bring that up. You don't throw that in my face. Mm-hmm. You don't go run and tell your friends and family. You don't go post about it on social media. Like, I know I can come to you and tell you my deepest and darkest secrets. I can be extremely vulnerable with you, and nobody else going to know.
Yeah.
And like I said, you're not going to throw it back in my face when you're upset with me. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I was telling one of my boys that it was last year. I'm about to lie and say a couple weeks ago. But I was like, yo, one of the craziest things that I enjoy about being in a relationship is you can pillow talk with somebody and the whole world ain't going to find out.
In the right relationship.
Right. Yeah, in the right relationship. In a real relationship. Mm-hmm. But like, when you out here just messing with a bunch of different girls, you can't even talk about what you're going through in life, because they going to go run and tell your business to whoever. So I'm like, it's crazy that you have created that space, but I had to grow that little boy up in order to say, you know what, it's all right, bro. You don't have to act like you got it all together all the time. Like, there's people in your corner to fight with you.
Yeah. I think that is probably, if it's like the most important thing that I will want to touch on, what you just saying, like, in a relationship, it's important to let, from a woman's standpoint, your man, your husband, your boyfriend, to show that vulnerable side, and you not make him feel any less than, right? Mm-hmm. Because in those moments when you feel it's suiting for him to be emotional, or you want him to show that sensitive side, or you want him to be romantic, all of those things that lead up to what's benefiting you stems from you allowing him to have that safe space, or you allowing him to feel vulnerable, allowing him to feel like he's at peace with you, that he can come to you and feel like he doesn't have to have a guard up.
I almost dropped a bomb with what you just said. Go ahead.
All of that goes together. So we can't expect this or that and not want to take in and appreciate those vulnerable moments, right? Yeah. Because there's beauty in those vulnerable moments. You're going to grow together. You're going to learn how to love him properly, how to help him feel like the man that he needs to feel, how to build him up in those moments where he may feel vulnerable, where he may feel weak, and you speaking those words that life into him, those words of encouragement into him to say, you know what, I got you. If no one else does, I do. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so important, because it's going to help your relationship in the long run. You can't expect for him to be this Prince Charming in a sense, which everyone tries to act like they want, right? When
Superman.
you're not, right, a Superman who's going to come to the rescue and just give you this beautiful romantic love that you want, this love story, and you run off into, you know, the rest of your lifetime with, and it's just all great, which we know that's not going to happen. But you can't expect that man that you want without allowing him to have those vulnerable moments, by you not encouraging those vulnerable moments, by you, like you said, taking what he's telling you in confidence and spreading it elsewhere, or making him feel like he's not a man for feeling that. So I think that we have to make sure that we're having that balance and understanding that, you know what, regardless of man or not, he's a human. Yeah. He has emotions, he has feelings, and we have to be able to encourage and accept those feelings and help nurture our partners.
Yeah. I love that you said, like, you can't pick and choose when you want your man to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. When you want your man to show that softer side and be romantic. Because if you're not allowing them to express who he fully is and what he's going through, this is not no light switch that you can turn on and off.
Yeah.
Like, when my light switch was turned off, ain't nobody seeing my emotions. Mm-mm. At all. Like, it took me time to turn that light switch on, right? So it's not something that you can, as a man, it's not something you can just turn on and off. Like, it's either there or it's not.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to feel safe enough to be able to turn that light switch on. So I love that you brought that up.
That's for sure. But yeah, I think the moral of the story basically comes down to, like we said, the topic was just being able to speak up, be able to speak your truth, regardless of what you think regardless of what someone has to say or what you think someone may say. Being able to speak up and say how you feel, express your emotions, express who you are in confidence. Yeah. And I feel like you're going to be shamed. I feel like with social media nowadays, like, so many people write and comment things that they know they won't say to a person if they see them. So they feel like they have that safe space to say something that's mad disrespectful or just completely left field because it's behind a computer screen or your phone screen. So I think don't allow for those individuals who we all know, if they were to see you, wouldn't say half the stuff that they say, to affect you in your daily life. Be able to have those vulnerable moments, be able to speak up and speak your truth, to be emotional. Because that's going to help you in the long run. Your mental sanity, your emotional sanity, it's going to put you in a space where you're at peace because you know that you can be your full self and not feel like you have to hide or diminish certain areas because someone else wants to sit up here and make it seem like it's a problem with you showing your light and being who you truly are.
Yeah. I have a question for you before we wrap up the podcast. In case there are men out there that don't know how this would make their woman feel. What does it mean when I do come to you and open up about how I feel and share my emotion? Or if we have problems, actually coming to you in a way in which I want to work on it so that we can have a strong, healthy relationship that lasts. What does that mean to you, that I'm not closed off?
It literally means everything. It means security in your relationship. It means trust, honesty, love. Like, you feel secure within your relationship when your partner, your man, is able to come to you and say, this is what's going on with me. Whether it be something that's affecting y'all personally or him personally or y'all relationship, just having that sound mind to say, this man is comfortable enough to come to me and confide in me and bare his soul to me. That's powerful. And you shouldn't take advantage of that. You should be able to, like I said, encourage that. Because when you have those deep moments of connection, those are very intimate moments. It takes your relationship to a completely different level. Because now it's no longer just the physical. It's no longer just, surface level. We're really getting into some deep stuff. And I know how you feel about certain things in life. I know how I can be able to help you in certain areas in life. What I can do to be a better person to help our relationship, right? To help our goals. Like, it brings up so many different topics and so many different areas of and what your relationship can go and grow when you're able to have those moments of connection. Your partner is able to come to you and just bear it all to you. So I think we should really be encouraging our partners to do that. Yeah. Because if you feel like you're at a place where you may be stuck in your relationship, where you may be constantly, you know, butting heads, where you don't know if there is going to be a relationship anymore, have those conversations. Go to your partner and say, you know what is it? How can we have a deeper connection? What is blocking us from getting to that point? And see if you can open those floodgates. Because I promise you, when you are in that place, in that space where you're that comfortable and you're that confident to just be who you truly are, it's amazing.
I want to wrap the podcast up with this aha moment that I just had as I was listening to you talk. Right? Seriously, because earlier in the podcast, I gave my thoughts on how do you know when you love somebody. Mm-hmm. And I said that when you have the desire to understand and respect that person's inner world so that you don't feel forced to change your behaviors, you're willing to change your behaviors so that you and that person can create a world where you can both coexist in each other's space. But I want to add something to that based off of what you just said. Not only do you have the desire to understand and respect that person's inner world, but you have the desire to share your inner world. Mm-hmm. Like, it's one thing for you to want to get to know somebody, mm-hmm. and it's another thing for them to want to express who they are.
Yes.
And I think that was the point. When I was like, I truly love this woman because not only do I want to understand who she is to her core, but I want to share with her who I am at my core. Yeah. Because that's the only way we can create a space where we can both coexist, is if we both desire to understand each other and respect each other, but we both desire to share who we are at our core.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, Asha, because you just got me over here thinking.
Well, you guys, I think that's when you experiencing that real love for sure. Yeah. So we hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. We hope that you were able to really gain something from it, to just to be open. You know, if you feel like you're having a block, if that person, that comment is
that
listening,
you listening,
yes,
you watching.
Just be open, speak up. That's what it boils down to. So until next time, you guys,
keep it real. Yes, sir.